Okay, welcome everybody to this session. And I'm Soumya from Expat Spouses Initiative, and I'm happy to welcome you to the session on behalf of entire including you team. The event is also the closing finale of the current edition of Women for Women program by Expat Spouses Initiative and the Living In program from the city of Eindhoven. And today I'm looking forward to discuss the topic which we all are very much interested in, is how do we actually create a work-life balance, and how TMC is creating an employee engagement experience for the international and the local talents. And today with us, we have Bram Tellen. He has a strong passion for technology and innovation, and with a strong sense of business and entrepreneurship, who led him to TMC in 2013. And at TMC, he's now the director of data science, physics, nanotechnology, business sales, which he represents for 60 engineers and scientists, so-called employers. So next to that, he is also an active member of Dutch AI Coalition, being part of the group Societal Acceptance and Inclusion. Now, you must be thinking, why all this technical stuff? But yes, it has to be. We want a technical company to be a role model. And TMC has been very instrumental in sparking and accelerating the innovation in this region. And they also have been a great influencers in this employee-driven engagement that they have, which fosters a very friendly environment for the international talents. And today, Bram is going to tell us more about these strategies and approach that they have at TMC. And we are very excited to have you, Bram. Welcome to the session, and to everyone who's watching it. And with this, I'll give the floor to you. I'll keep myself on mute and my video off. If you have any problem, just call me out. I'm here.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And I'm also very grateful of being here today. I'm very enthusiastic about, because the topic I'm going to talk about is it's very important for TMC, TMC as a whole organization. And I think I'm really happy to present what we do as an organization, especially also around our expert community that I'll be telling more about. What I try to share today is really making practical examples and also some game changers that we have experienced in the past 8 years, for at least from what I could see as being 8 years at TMC. And looking at, of course, the entire today's event, I again want to point out that is very important for every organization, including TMC, both the diversity, but also that new employees and especially expats and international employees feel included, and not only to the organization but also to the new work and social environment, because we believe that it's good for the health, both mental and physical health of our employees, which also as an employer you have a responsibility, but also for the motivation, and happiness, and a healthy work-life balance. So before I get started, tell more about, okay, what do we do at TMC in order to how do we try to create such an environment? Very briefly, an introduction of myself. Who am I? So my name is Bram. I'm 34 years old, working at TMC for 8 years. So I have a background in chemistry, nanomaterials, and innovation and entrepreneurship. And actually, from that path, I got to know TMC in 2013, and immediately I was caught about the level of entrepreneurship, the intrinsic motivation of its employees, and the model around it, which I'll be telling a little bit about what it means. And I started as a manager, and nowadays I'm the director of the 3 departments you see here. Next to that, I also feel myself very closely related to everything around AI that's related to the data science. So artificial intelligence will have a huge impact on us as society. But I believe that access to innovation and technology should be equally distributed. And next to that, I also strongly believe that innovation and technology innovation is a nice way of closing the gap between different layers of any society, whether it's poor or rich, but also on ages. It brings people more together. So that's why I'm also part of the AI Coalition work group, Social Acceptance and Inclusion. Next to that, I've been asked like, what is a quality of me that I would like to share? I was really thinking about it, and I think it's curiosity. First of all, I'm educated in one of the nature science, so curiosity of understanding how things work. That was always what I did as a teenager. But after that, also curiosity in other people, other culture, which is reflected in experiencing different types of food, kitchen, and but also traveling. And I think that's definitely a trait that has brought me a lot and learned a lot about myself, but also other people in the past decades. Another hobby, I think, a hobby that really defines me. It's music. And music, in one way, I believe with music, we are as human being are able to express better yeah, what we think, how we like. It's more colorful. That's why I like the picture I used here in this presentation. But also it's a way of, yeah, you see like the festival. I really like live music, to experience live music, as you can. It's a universal language, and besides just the technical part of music, yeah, it's a really nice way of expressing. And I also play guitar myself, not to be not really on stage, but also it's a more deeper way to experience music. So enough about myself. More about TMC and what is important for us at TMC. So at TMC, we are a technical consulting company, and I don't want to focus on that now doing this presentation, because that's not in the scope. But what is very important about is the way we work, and that's our unique model, and it's called employeurship. So the employeurship model, it combines the word employee and entrepreneurship. It's not yet in the dictionary. It's definitely one of our goals to get it there, but it has an entire philosophy behind it, and eventually, it's getting an employee engaged environment, and we want to be a human-centered organization that has a bottom-up approach. What we also promise to our so-called employers is that the business model that we have, that it offers everybody an environment, conditions to excel in any way possible. Whether you want to eventually start your own company, or maybe whatever brilliant ideas some of our employees also have. But that is, I think, something very important about our organization, and that's already what has kept me for being part of this organization in the past 8 years. And also what I like to do in my job as director of these departments. So I will not go more in depth about the employeurship model and the philosophy, because you can all read about that on our website, or contact me afterwards if you're interested to know more about. But what I would like to do is spend a little bit more time on giving practical examples, or explaining, yeah, how do we get to a more what diversity means for us and inclusion, but also what do we do in order to get an engaged both national and international employees. So some yeah, key figures. First of all, TMC, we're our headquarters is here in Eindhoven on High Tech campus, but 5 or 6 years ago we started also expanding to internationally. So nowadays we have over 20 offices in 10 different countries, and we're with over than 1,000 employers. What I think is even more interesting things to which I even didn't know. I actually, when I was preparing this presentation, is that nowadays 20% of the employees in the Netherlands has a non-Dutch nationality, which covers over more than 60 different nationalities, which is of course quite an impressive number. And also, if you look to the work council of TMC, even there also I see that we strive for diversity and inclusion as well. If you look to the male-female ratio, but also the representative of international members. This means also that yeah, within TMC Netherlands, the amount of people we hire also as expats is like 50 to 60 people each year. I will also tell a little bit more like how do we practically onboard international people, and also yeah, make them feel comfortable in this new environment, and also adapt to some of the Dutch habits, for example. So an employee engaged in community, as I said, that's in general very important for TMC with how the company is structured and this employee ownership model. But if I tailor this more to the international community, first of all, within TMC, we encourage professional and personal development. Encourage people get a dedicated budget, which is a study budget, which is free of charge. In that sense, like if people sometimes people get the opportunity to invest in themselves, in any case they decide to leave the company, they have to refund. But every employee has a budget in TMC of 2,000 euros to invest. We have a platform and it's called the university, and the name for why it's university, because it doesn't focus on the hard skills, because we believe our customers, they can teach people the proper hard skill, but this was really more about soft skills, influencing without having the hierarchy or negotiating, or maybe more the entrepreneurial parts. We provide professional coaching. So this is a professional and personal coach. It's again a service we also hire people for, because there should be no strings attached. But we also see that especially the international employees, it really helps them to adapting and better understanding the Dutch way of working or culture. Sometimes people say Dutch, we can be direct, but are we really so direct? And situations that are encountered. And then, of course, I would appreciate if one of the employees shares that with me as a manager or as the director. But sometimes it can help that there is a coach that is really dedicated to also your own and is in a more secure environment. In addition to that, we have also additional budget. It's learning Dutch, learning the language. Maybe not for speaking it fluently right away, but just being able to understanding these small coffee chats, or just better understanding what's going on the work floor. Of course, in the current situation, as most of us are working from home, but in a normal situation, that's of course just to getting a hold to feel embedded. It's very important that we encourage our employees to do that. Next to that, we also facilitate a lot of ways outside of the work-based things we do, but more on shared interests. So if I look to all the initiatives we have and having a work-life balance, the question is, like, I think work and private, so the work-life balance, it's getting more and more connected. Flexible work hours, more normal to work from home. But then if we look to like what brings people together, we really look what is the shared interest. What is the shared interest of our employees, and try to see if we can facilitate that outside of the regular project or job they're working on. So one of the things is our entrepreneurial lab, which is both a physical as a financial room within our organization, where employers can start their own project. It can result to a spin-out company, or they can get the taste of real entrepreneurship, or it's more like a dream they have. So we have done projects to cleaning the ocean from microplastics, for example, or we're developing soccer robots for children that are in a wheelchair. There are all kinds of applicants with a lot of smart people we have working at TMC that they walk around with this idea, but they're looking for room to plug this, and that's where we have the entrepreneurial lab. The Employer Club, which organizes all kinds of events. But we also have a TMC band. Usually they perform on our yearly TMC end of year party, and a motorcycle club. Just to give some examples, which we actively facilitate, and also initiatives come and go. Another, it's also important, if I look to what has been successful, is having a dedicated team for supporting our internationals. So my colleague Samantha, she's also in this call and meeting. So she's focusing and dedicated to everything related to HR, but also I&D, all kind of processes. So she's the spokesperson, and she can usually also connect to the right people within the organization. When I joined TMC, there was no such person, and it was more decentralized within the organization. But having a focused team of people, it shows it's easier for people to also find their way. So it's also international finance, and of course we have also a manager for the entrepreneurial lab. I think that's very important. Another thing is also show our new employees the way, and to cover the practical basics. So the first day, if someone is new to, for example, the Netherlands or to the region, sometimes people move also within the Netherlands, either to Eindhoven or to any other of our other offices. Um, the first day, the manager, yeah, will be there full day. Going to, if you're new into the country, we go to the municipality, getting insurance done, banking, go with you shopping, just to of these practical basis. You get a checklist, of course, like what to do also upfront, but it's very important that you feel welcome. And that's what we do. I think also, and the last thing, what is very important, if you want to create such an environment, is also make use of organizations next to what you do yourself as an employee. And so there is, of course, a line to where what is the responsibility and what you want to achieve as employer. And therefore, I think what we also do, and Samantha plays an also important role in that, is connecting it to organizations that can help. So I've mentioned some of them that some of the organizations, of course, that we collaborate with, but it's definitely not limited to this. So these are the things that I has actually been there. This is with TMC already from the start, but more closely, we also since 2017 have our own expat community within TMC, and this is actually just started off with some employers seeing like, hey, we have the feeling that on top, besides what already is there within TMC, that there can be more interaction among national and international colleagues, and also the integration of expats, that we can enhance that. And that's for in 2017, it's founded by employers and staff from different departments as well. So it's it covers the entire TMC Netherlands. And what this expat community does, on top of already what I just explained, one of the things, there's a buddies program. So any employer or staff member in TMC, they can sign up for this, and yeah, it's that you have a place or a person to go to for advice or tips, yeah, but also show you around, maybe in the new city where you're going to move or live, especially if people come alone. Cultural awareness program. Yeah? So how do you get adapted to this new environment, but also how do you share what you bring from yourself? So yeah, it works both ways, the cultural awareness. As I said, curiosity is one of my qualities, and I think especially such events really help. So we have had dedicated evenings where we have a Greek evening, a Mexican evening, where first, yeah, the people from these countries tell more about their own culture. Usually there are meals related to that, home cooked meals. So and it brings more mutual understanding as well. But also it's a good way to discuss struggles that you have, and a better understanding, which eventually leads to respect. The third thing, social events and work-life balance. So where already we do a lot of things. I think there's also some social events that show a little bit, yeah, Dutch traditions like ice skating, or maybe pub crawls. I think there's quite international, but also visiting interesting locations and cities, but also attractions like Madurodam or Efteling. Yeah, we just realized that a lot of people that come to the Netherlands, yeah, these are things you usually learn when you're in university. But if you're already mid-career, yeah, how do you get to know all of these events? And it's nice to explore that with both national and international employees. The last thing, very practical, is also welcome basket and support. So getting a book about Dutch cultural habits, but also just typical Dutch projects, it makes it also tangible. I think the first three focus areas, they are more related to events and something, but this makes it also very practical, tangible for someone to yeah, to feel welcome, which I think is important. Besides this, last thing that I think I want to share, what have been game changers, so things that what we have learned in the past 3 to 4 years, or actually people in the expat community. One of the things that really was a game changer is making the sessions of this expat community also available to partners and family. So because you can realize when you freshly arrive to a new country, that okay, none of the family will have a network, but at least the employee of TMC will have colleagues. But sometimes the partners or the family, yeah, they don't have that luxury. And so we've seen that making this available to partners and family definitely yeah, make it more successful. Um, I think also, yeah, a little bit of paradox, but having an expat community established overall made it the engagement of employees, because it made we gave the experts with that we gave it a face, a place to go where people would come with feedback for any ideas. So actually, it made that having the expat community from just an idea, from a feeling that was started by some employers, having it in place, yeah, made it more visible and attract, had a double effect of that the people felt there is now a clear way where they could go to. And the last thing is also uh, what we've seen. Of course, this is all bottom up. There was a bottom up initiative started by employers and staff, but eventually also the board. They were like, okay, this is interesting. We didn't know that there was this need, because. But we see that now, even that they're really interested in also getting frequently updates. So there's several times per year. There's a meeting, and a yearly meeting with the board of TMC also to yeah, evaluate, like, okay, how is this going, and to make also new budget available. And it only makes it easier to scale up. So we just started as a nice initiative, is now growing and growing, which I think we can be very proud of. So these have been examples of yeah, what we do as an organization in general to engage our employees, and also to for the onboarding of expats. Last thing is also that one question we got is like, okay, what has been the impact of COVID and Corona? And because that of course has also been huge on this. So I will just to finalize this presentation, we'll just go to some very practical examples from our side. So first of all, the onboarding of expats. That has changed. Actually, the upcoming Monday we'll have a new person coming in from Taiwan through Poland. But this means we have to inform the people about the measures, the Corona measures. So now today you need to have two negative tests, both a regular one, the PCR, as a speed test. Most internationals, people are not fully aware of what are the measures in your country. So yeah, make sure that as a company you're aware of what are the current measures, and to communicate that clearly so that people know what they need in order to get in. But also the evening clock that we have, yeah, people should be informed, aware. Next to that, people need to go in quarantine. So we're taking proper measures that yeah, we buy groceries for the first week to 10 days, but also we arrange everything from IT that people at least can get started. We have a daily routine for contact, so that has really intensified, because people can really feel isolated when they come to the Netherlands, and then are really stuck in their apartment or house in the first 7 to 10 days. Next to that, of course, what we did, a lot of events went digital. I think there's a lot of nice new initiatives I've seen, both professionally but also private. Also the way now that I can just communicate perfectly with all of you through this screen. But what we have really done is we made it personal invitation to events. So handwriting messages to the employees, instead of just having the email, hey, please sign up for this webinar, for example. Also making it tangible. I would like to give an example of here is that one of my team sessions I had with my team, a yearly celebration, actually in September. I purchased these Lego figures and sent all of them, including the invitation, this space Lego figure with the invitation like, the sky is not the limit. We want to go where no employer has gone before. And here's your Lego figure. Please join the strategy session. So of course this brings a nice touch, but what we've also seen since that event in September, in the past couple of weeks, there's a lot of communication and a lot of people are sharing pictures from their own figures, like look what I'm doing, work from home. So it it makes it a lot more fun. Besides, of course, the practical communication among colleagues, to also yeah, be connected in this way. Another thing is, besides the digital events, of course, it's very important to keep meeting offline. So, of course, it makes working more effective, digital, and luckily enough, innovation and all the IT infrastructure is there in place. But yeah, what I definitely advise, although you cannot meet in groups, keep a lot of one-on-one walking. It's, first of all, it's also healthy. But yeah, please try to meet still offline as much as possible. For example, also our Christmas gift, what we did as TMC, the Mispoelhoeve in Eindhoven, they made a drive-through where our employees could just come with their family in their car, go through the drive-through, and in the end, as you can see in one of the pictures, I was dressed up as a Santa Claus, to also give the Christmas yearly Christmas present. But again, it's just to give an example of the options are limited, and importance of meeting offline, even if it's within the car or like this. So I think these are yeah, the examples and best practices I could give in the time that was available. And I think I really would like to thank all of you for joining this, and feel free to reach out to me either through LinkedIn or anything. And of course, now there's also, I believe, the opportunity to ask questions. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Bram. If you don't mind, we can stop the screen sharing so we can have your video on a full screen.
Yes.
Yeah, super. So that was a very interesting presentation, and quite insightful to hear what all TMC is doing. And what was very fascinating for me and for our viewers was that you do consider in your engagement the family part as well, because I think that's very important to create the right condition to facilitate and include the families of the international knowledge workers, because uh, I mean, most 80% of the expats move with their families, and because of the inability for the spouse, the family to integrate, it's also one of the major reason why the retention it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So. And what we understood from the presentation was that it's more like it started like an employee resource group, and
Yeah.
now it has become a big movement, which is great. So we have a question here, because you're situated in high tech campus,
Mhm.
and you've been part of this industry for years. Have you seen a change in how the tech industries are perceiving, including this inclusion of the employee and especially their family part of for international workers?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So first of all, indeed, the trend within Team C, one of the game changer is for us to also have more focus for not only the employee but also their environment. I think also the event of today is a very clear example. But what I still remember is that it was actually also in the previous elections. There was a documentary on the Dutch television even about the Eindhoven and Brainport region, to be aware of, including also the expats and the families. That, of course, that there was the risk of getting a big gap among that. And I think from there on, you can see many other initiatives focusing on diversity. I think it's also quite an important and hot topic. But we see it also in the big high tech companies also that presented today, of course, what they're doing. So also the female tech heroes, but also within the organization. So I believe it is getting more and more the attention. But also for us, I think we're also so we know it's just a start. You know,
Yeah.
it's just a start. So that's also why I'm very happy to be able to share at least what we have done or trying to do so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the difference. Is like you thought about it, and you're in the right
Yeah.
direction. And yes, it's not just a stop, it's a start, as you said.
Yeah.
uh, and one more question I have: so with all these initiatives and things that you keep doing, do you also see as an employee a change in you because you have more international colleagues, and when you interact with the family, do you think the bonding level changes for as an employee within the group?
Yeah, yeah. So I tried indeed also to put that more in the presentation, like what is the effect and what's the result. And I think with the entire pandemic, that's really difficult to. First of all, we don't exactly measure, but I was thinking about, for example, we have an office under our building next to ours in the
Mhm.
high tech campus, and before the pandemic and before the lockdown, what you can see is that almost every evening around 4:30 to 5 p.m. it started to get crowded here in the office because of one of these sessions, whether it's from the entrepreneurial lab, it's knowledge sharing, it's while actually the office next to us was closing down. And at one moment they said like, every evening there's dinner delivered and served. There's more activity actually when we are starting to go home.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very clear sign of that people that we manage to create an environment that intrinsically motivated to people to come outside of working hours to come here to
Yeah.
share to connect. Yeah, and I think that's and I think also if I look to the international people, it's you see also that at one moment they start recommending also people from they know from the previous job or environment, saying like, hey, if you're thinking of coming to Eindhoven, yeah, we recommend TMC as a serious employer for that. So I think these are all signs that we're doing something good on that.
Yeah, and definitely, I think the inclusive culture and the diverse workforce helps in the employer branding for a
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
And yeah, TMC has definitely made a mark there.
yeah,
You guys are doing a great job, and it was nice to see all the creative ways you are trying to still be together despite
yeah,
the COVID situation. The
yeah,
Legos and the Christmas
yeah.
celebrations, that was great. And we just hope you being at the high tech campus, you inspire and influence others, and continue doing so. And from the start of the journey, we hope it just becomes a movement, and great things
Definitely.
keep happening.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, thank you also for providing this stage, the floor to share this with others.
I think, yeah, pleasure was ours, and it's always great to see what companies are doing, because sometimes, as an outsider, you don't know how much effort and initiative the companies are
Yeah,
taking, and
yeah,
it just feels reassuring that yes, there is a culture of belonging,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and people are acknowledging that.
yeah.
So
Definitely, definitely. Yes.
yes. So, with that, I think we had a great session. Thank you so much to you and to everybody in your company. And as I said, it's always great to know the new things. And today, I'm sure a lot of us will see TMC from a different perspective. So,
Happy to hear. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody, and stay healthy, stay safe.
yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. And thanks, Bram. We'll be in touch. Have a nice day.
Okay.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.